There are several different structures that you could use to write your introduction and conclusions. We're going to go over simply the basics for how to structure both an introduction and a conclusion. By the end of this video, you should be able to write an appropriate attention getter, write a complex thesis statement containing a so what, and structure the introduction and concluding paragraphs. Regardless of how you write your introduction, there usually are three key concepts that always need to be included, and a few that should never be present. In any good introduction, you're always going to need a hook or attention getter, a transition, and a thesis statement. Other papers or professors may require additional materials, but these are the basics. So the hook is exactly what it sounds like. It's an attention getter. It's meant to hook your reader into your paper and get their attention and introduce your topic. As with anything, there are numerous strategies you could use as a hook. We're going to go over the three most obvious. For our purposes, we're going to use examples tied to Cesar Chavez's work with the California farm workers' labor movement. The first type of attention getter or hook you could use is a shocking statement, which, shocker, is exactly what it sounds like. You're going to make some kind of statement that your reader will find shocking. You could make a command. Go pee behind that bush. You could make a statement. Here's your $10 in wages for the day. Stop complaining. The point of this approach is to shock your audience with some aspect of your topic that will intrigue them enough to make them want to keep reading. However, depending upon your audience and topic, you can choose how far to push this. Realize that even if you want to shock your audience, you don't want to offend them. Try not to use second person pronouns such as you. That isn't going to get them to want to read the rest of what you have to say or buy into your argument. The second strategy is the often used quote. So you could choose a quotation from your research or a primary source material that directly addresses your topic or thesis. It could be anything from some profound idea in the text or shocking statement. For example, Cesar Chavez said that we must understand the highest form of freedom carries with it the greatest measure of discipline. Now, you're going to need to format this quote with a correct parenthetical citation. This is not a case where you want to use a signal phrase. You don't want to lead into your paper with so and so once said or according to. That's not going to make anyone want to keep reading. One more side note. Don't go to Brainy Quotes and find something somewhat related to your topic. That's a cop-out. If there is some incredibly profound and famous quote, find it in a real source, not on the Brainy Quotes website or any other quote collective. A less used and more original attention getter idea is to tell a story, or what's called an anecdote. You can pull your audience in with an account of what happened. For example, imagine living and working in a place with no bathrooms, a place where you're told you don't deserve a break, even on a 100-degree day, a place where you're treated like an animal. After you're finished with your attention getter, you need a transition. A transition is just a bridge that connects your hook to your thesis. It's going to insert some kind of background information about your topic and connect it to your thesis statement. It shouldn't take forever, 1 or 2 sentences tops. Your reader just needs to know the bare minimum about how your attention getter applies. You need to get to the point, your thesis statement. Your thesis statement is the most important part of your introduction. Your thesis statement is what you're arguing. This should be your last sentence in your introduction. It needs to be complex, containing both content and a so what. The content is the most obvious part of your thesis statement. Think of it as your main idea. However, the so what is equally important. This is the how or why your topic is important. You should always have a so what. It's what makes something an analysis. If you can't figure out why your topic matters, your readers surely will not. One final note on introductions. Nowhere in this introduction should the words I think, I believe, or this paper is about ever appear. Of course you think and believe these things. You wrote them. And the paper is going to be about this topic. Well, what else could it be about? Knitting? We're going to jump to the conclusion now. Your conclusion is your final judgment about why this paper and the content and analyses contained within it matter at all. It doesn't have to be a long paragraph. In fact, if it's too long, chances are you're going to introduce a new idea or get off topic. So just stick to the basics. Restate your main arguments that you used as topic sentences for your body paragraphs. These could be 1 or 2 or 3 sentences, depending upon how well you can condense them. Next, you need to restate your thesis. You don't want to restate it word for word, but in a more general form. It's okay if it isn't as clear as it was in your introduction. Your conclusion should be more like gentle waves, reminding your reader of what your paper has already argued. You can end your conclusion with a reflection or some comment about how we as society can apply these ideas to ourselves. You need to stay away still from using phrases like I believe or I think and using second person pronouns like you, but you can let a little of your personality show. You want your reader to remember your last words. They are key to getting your reader to buy into your overall argument. So now you should know how to structure your introduction and your conclusion. And as always, remember to cite your sources.